Bună ziua din nou! Am ajuns la ultima parte a Digital Innovation Summit Bucharest. Este zona dedicată Blockchain Intelligence Forum. Vă mulțumim că sunteți încă aici și atenți. Îi așteptăm și pe cei care și-au extins pauza. Îmi face o deosebită plăcere să fim din nou la o ediție a Blockchain Intelligence Forum, a doua ediție. E un spațiu de tehnologie care pe noi ne interesează foarte mult, unde avem suficiente realizări, sperăm că vor fi și mai multe realizări, dar pentru că deja am întârziat foarte mult, o să-l invit pe celălalt speaker din deschidere, pe Adrian Matak. Please come here for the first opinion and first remarks to be here. Adrian.
Thank you, and thank you for ICI Bucharest and to all the organizers for convening today's discussion and for this forum. I think it genuinely matters a lot that the topic and the program of this year's forum is happening within topics such as a program focused on resilience, on digital transformation and international cooperation. And I think that this is not accidental in a way that it's a signal for how far the conversation around blockchain has come. At GBBC, we have spent almost a decade working with governments, with regulators and industry to understand how we can make blockchain and related technologies work for real institutions and real people and in the interest of innovation and technological adoption. And what we have seen consistently is that this conversation has indeed moved on. And the question is no longer whether digital assets should matter, or if they indeed matter, or whether institutions should engage. And the answer to both of these is an overwhelming yes, and this debate is now settled across many different global jurisdictions. The question now is how we govern those systems, how we do that in a way that's credible, that is practical, and that works across borders, which blockchain, data, but also financial crimes doesn't fully respect and works across these borders. So the topics on today's agenda reflect exactly this shift in maturity in the conversation and technological adoption. We're talking about things as tax transparency, fiscal enforcement, financial crime investigations, and adoption of MiCA and its implementation. These are no longer peripheral concerns or proofs of concepts, but something that sits at the center of what it means to build a digital asset market and a modern digital economy that institutions, users, and regulators can trust. But neither regulators nor market participants, many of whom are present today in this room, can do this alone or by working in silos. One of the things that we hear at GBBC most consistently from regulators, from governments, from the institutions that we work with, is that the absence of a common language remains one of the biggest practical barriers to progress in blockchain and its adoption across markets and financial institutions. So it's not about the absence of political will per se, it's not about the pace of innovation, or the absence of, but about the absence of shared definitions, shared standards, and shared taxonomies, and a shared understanding of what we are actually trying to govern by regulating digital assets or by regulating blockchain. And how do we make the systems that we're implementing across the market talk to each other in a way that makes adoption easy, safe, and credible as the future of digital markets. GBBC has been mapping this gap since 2020 through our Global Standards Mapping Initiative, the GSMI, where we track regulatory and standards developments across more than 230 jurisdictions and 6 global bodies. We've built that with over 1,000 contributors. And the picture that we're getting from those 6 years of research now is clear, that there is no single regulator and no single jurisdiction that can close this gap of taxonomies, of standards, of shared definitions alone. Both sides, and that is industry and government, need each other to make this work. We've heard a lot from diplomats earlier today, But that is not a diplomatic formulation. It's a practical observation about how we can draw from the developments of the last few years that we've seen across major jurisdictions that were the first movers in blockchain and in digital assets. And that is why I believe forums like the one we are attending today matter, because this is where we can work, have the bilateral work and the multilateral work, and agree on what it is that we need and how, and in what work streams we can move forward and change the way that things in blockchain work. What we bring to the conversation as GBBC is we see our role as educators and conveners, and we want to build the practical tools that help institutions move from policy discussions to implementations. One of the most recent examples of that is our Capital Markets Risk Mitigation Framework, the RMF, which we developed last year with Oliver Weinmann and a working group of that includes DTCC, Euroclear, Clearstream. And it's something that's designed specifically to help regulated financial institutions assess and manage the risks of public blockchain infrastructure. We map it explicitly to frameworks like MiCA or DORA or the American NIST frameworks. And we aim to produce things like this, which are not aspirational guidance, but something that's ready for implementation, that can guide and make actors who are not currently or are just implementing blockchain safer and more confident in the course that they're taking. I think Romania also has a clear role to play here, not as a jurisdiction competing for a label, but as a country with genuine capability in infrastructure, with great talent pools, with great cybersecurity specialists, and a cross-border institutional cooperation that can meaningfully contribute to European and international governance conversation from a position of experience. And I believe that the intersection of those capabilities with questions on today's agenda, with evidence standards, supervisory capacity, is exactly where a country's contribution becomes meaningful. So in closing, I look forward to today's discussion. The panels that we're about to listen to are bringing exactly the kind of expertise that this conversation requires: legal, technical, supervisory, and cross-jurisdictional. And so I can only hope that after this afternoon we leave the Parliament with not just a better understanding, but also a clear alignment of what we can do for effective implementation of blockchain across borders and between public and private sectors. And that actually requires all of us and how and clarity on how we need to work together going forward. So thank you, and over to my colleagues.